My name is Jonathan Gall, and I'm a product designer. I have over a decade of experience in software corporations. I've been working in several roles as a business analyst, as a developer, and as a designer. Thanks to that experience, I learned a few things about corporations and scaling design processes in corporations. So my goal today is to share with you some of those learnings. Oh, and I do like prototyping, like very, very much. So the agenda for today. We are going to go through the product design dev cycle. So what we do when we design tools, how it's working right now in most companies. We're going to do a state of the union of tools that exist when it comes to designing things. Then we are going to talk about the possibilities, so it's very mysterious, you will see. And finally, we're talking about the future of design tools. Okay, so first thing, product design lifecycle. So it's all good. We are going to create a product. So all of us, all together, we meet and we're going to brainstorm. And what will happen is that we are going to have design sprints and we are going to run user research. We are going to create a product plan and we are going to do UX, UI, IX, interaction design. And it's all fantastic. We are all happy. Then we send all of this to our software developers, our front-end designers, our front-end developers, sorry. And we receive the output, and we're like, what? That wasn't my mockup. Did you not see that the interaction was existing? And so and so. And the reason, there are multiple reasons for that. So I kind of thought a lot about this process and how can we fix that issues, that communication between designers and developers? Because I have been both. I've worked on kind of both sides. I'm a much better designer though. And I came out with a solution. Yay! So what is that? That is a CNC machine. So we are not the only product designers. There are product designers in a lot of fields, including machining and creating like physical tools that people are using. CNC are used to basically prototype real things. It's exactly the same process as us. What is the difference between the prototypes that those guys are creating and the prototypes that we are creating? Their prototypes are real. Their prototypes are so real that if you go on Kickstarter to lose your money, you will see a bunch of products that are designed via CNC tools. What people do is that they create prototypes and they sell you that prototypes because CNC prototypes are so close to the end tool. So there are other techniques like rapid injection molding that they can sell those. And they will say, early backers, you can have what are products in a few weeks or a few months or never actually sometime. How can we do that? Imagine if it was Kickstarter was for designers and and those guys have had the same process that we have. This is kind of what they will sell. Because when we deliver outputs, when we deliver our sketch files or Illustrator or whatever tool you're using, or we push stuff on InVision or graphic tools, this is what we give. We give plans to do something. We don't give the artifact. We can sell that directly. And in CNC machining, they can sell their outputs. Another example that is closer to us, but still much better, is the use of VR in some corporations, especially in architecture. So they use VR to basically be able to test their own prototypes from an insider view. So they can build their prototypes on AutoCAD and go inside their prototypes and have a real feeling of how it will work for real. So that's very cool. But we don't have CNC for us. What we output from Sketch are static files. Every time that someone wants to have an output in different responsive formats, so from web, iPad, iPhone, and all those screens, you need to recreate all those screens sometime. So let's take a look at what do we do when we create, what do we want to have when we want to create prototypes. Basically, this is what we are supposed to create, right? Because when we create apps or websites or anything else, we have content that is structured. We have content that have states, that is dynamic. We have motion in what we do. We have sound sometimes, for some of you who are game designers, for example. We have context, because depending on where you use your application, there will be different behaviors. And we have copy, so what content I'm going to deal with. And then we kind of throw at it design systems. And yeah, most of the time, design systems are not compliant to what we intend to achieve. So there is that quote that I really like. So basically, when you say that you have a Sketch design system from Sketch, it's like going to IKEA and saying, hey, I have something, I have plans. That's exactly the same thing. Because what you're giving to your front-end developers doesn't exist. It's just virtual. It's flat file, and there is no gap. So we don't have that CNC. And even worse than that, the way we judge designers right now is going through tools like Dribble and Behance, where people get reviews. And the reviews that we get, that's the last trending from this morning, most trending stuff. The reviews that we get, oh, it's great, nice shots, nice colors, nice colors. Yeah, that's very useful. That's not going to help us. Where CNC people, when they do prototypes, they have like a real artifact that they can test, tell, and they have real feedback from it. Because you can experience a website or a dynamic experience from a static file. So where are our CNCs? So for now, we have had an introduction, the enticing incident, rise in action, so that's storytelling techniques. Now we are going to have our climax. And what are the possibilities? So 2 years ago, exactly, the Airbnb team did something with a tool called UI framework called React, and they use Sketch. They had the same issues as us. They want to have things, documents that are structured. They want to reuse. They want their designers to be able to scale design and to have something that feels like a good application. So they pushed something on GitHub, and this is the text that. So managing assets in design system Sketch is complex, error-prone, and time-consuming. But Sketch is scriptable. So React provides the perfect wrapper to create components. And then there was that demonstration that kind of changed the game. And that guy took code, he wrote stuff, and he created stuff in Sketch. And from that, there was a huge trend of why don't we use code to create designs? Because attributes of codes have all we need, from version control to easy version control to export of elements to scale to states, because I can have all my states in code. We can have a unique view of our whole design and then just push it and explore through it. So what we are living right now, there is a parallel with what happened in DevOps. Are any of you developers? I know somebody asked, but I didn't. Yeah, one. Okay. And a lot of you have operations. So one of the issues in DevOps and why the discipline started is because developers have one goal: push changes. In some companies, people are even judged by the number of lines of code that they push every week. And ops have a very different mindset. The goal of an ops is to have something stable. The issue is that when a developer wants to push something, he introduces changes. And the moment you introduce changes, you introduce potential issues. So to solve that problem, the DevOps movement was formed. And the way they fixed that problem is by creating common goals. Instead of saying that devs' goals is to push changes and ops goal is to have 100% uptime, we are going to say we are going to create one department and say that our goal is TTM, time to market. That's what we want to do. And you manage in one team to do that. So let's create one team and manage things together. So it's kind of what is happening in design right now in the design industry. We have React that happens. So what is React, first of all, because there is just one developer, so I need to explain it. React is a UI framework created by Facebook, which exploded on the web because it gives the ability to create front-end experience in a very simple way. And it's very easy to use, to onboard, and to reuse. So and the main thing with React is that React is component-based, which means that when you create a component in React, you can instance it as much as you want. Doesn't it remind you something? Sketch? Sketch, when you create a document, in Sketch, you create a symbol. And that symbol, you're going to reuse it in your templates. This is a way that people start design systems. So what those Airbnb guys did is merging those two concepts. And going further, so now 2 years later, we have tools that worked and evolved from those options. So FrameX is my tool, the main tool that I use. And you will see what they introduce, what they focus on. They focus on states. I can change states directly. I can create links between documents. I can create reusable components on which I can change details. So instance. It shows on that example like funny animation, and it's all good. But the strength of that tool is really the reusability of design. And even better, the ability that you have to export like real code components that front-end developer will be able to use, which is like, because that means that some of the main component of your design systems, your front-end developers won't have to touch them. They will be created in a design tool, like Sketch or like Figma in that case, and you will be able to manage them individually. So from that, there is a Polish design company also, UXpin, that some of you might know, who has the exact same approach, going to focus on how can we design on code. And that was the main trend last year. We had Figma also, who basically onboarded React as the way to scale components. So we have those 3 tools that makes the market right now. One thing though, what is the future of those components? Those superpowers in design are going to give us access to 3 things. We are going to be able to evolve design system in a much simpler way because every element will be a component. So instead having different files, you will be able to focus on elements, components, go on a component level. And you will be able to assign those components to people. Same thing for, There is one caveat though. You will need to improve transparency in your teams. Because the moment that you use design system in which everybody can create components, that means that people don't work on a layered level. And the way design works is that people will be responsible for screen design. And in that case, you will have people focused on component design. And those components are going to affect your whole design scope. So we start to think exactly like developers in a way, and the way developers do things. So what are the next steps then? Do you learn to code as designers? Or do your designers learn to code? Yes, to a point. Not everybody needs to be, or not every designer needs to be learn to code. If you're involved in interaction design, though, it is, you will have to, even because all tools are going toward that route. Even the last update of Sketch, which was basically the dinosaur. It's funny to say Sketch was a dinosaur, but kind of. Last update of Sketch, we introduced data sources directly in the tool. So you can input real data directly via the API. So if you think that, OK, who here have designers who code in your teams? Yes, yes. So I have a few people. OK. Who is going to go back to their team and ask them to learn to code? Or they are going to hate you, but that's fine. Yeah, the reason I'm telling you that you should focus on helping your designers, your interaction designers really to get to that point is because people are going to gun for you. That is pictures from Loop. So Loop was an interaction design conference that took place in Amsterdam, organized by Framer. And I was there. That's me somewhere here. And I was surprised about one thing at Loop. Even though it was in Amsterdam, I was one of the only European. Basically, during that conference, it was mainly people from the Bay Area and New York. So that means that, and most of the companies there were like the big ones, the Facebooks, the Google, the Airbnb, and all of those guys. So basically, those companies are sending their people to those design thought leaders to learn those tools. So you might at least have interest or watch what is happening in that field, because once those design leaders are going to get back in their company and talk a lot about Frameworks is very fresh, like 2 months. It's 1 month and a half, 2 months old, but it's exploding. So you want to learn those things. There are a lot of ways. The Framer community in particular, I will talk more about Framer because it's the tool that I use, but it's the same for Figma and same for UXPin. The Framer community, for example, is extremely active. There are a lot of ways to learn stuff. If you need more help, one of the things that happens a lot is workshop for designers to learn React. This is Mengto workshop. And basically, it's written. Their goal is to put designers in a place where they can design with data and design experiences exactly like your CNC experiences. I'm going to design things that my user have no idea that it's a prototype. And I'm not going to do fancy tricks with After Effects and mix it with a real prototype. And no, I'm going to do it with code directly. So I'm going to take some risks. I'm going to do a live coding on stage at a product design conference. That's fun. Okay. At a product conference. Okay, where's my mouse? Yes. Okay, so that's Framer, right? So that's a prototype from one of the Mengto class. So what do I see in my prototype? Okay, what is weird here? There is something weird here based on standard prototypes. You don't see? Check the hour. It's now, because that is directly driven via data. What else? Those images here, it's basically that. I'm going to show you that component. I am basically doing a query on Unsplash, and I'm retrieving random data with, I put Borealis as a name. the name is going from UI name, so it's randomly generated. The picture is going from UI pictures. Everything here is completely dynamic. And I'm in my prototyping tool. I'm not around. And this is basically design hack, and I'm pushing random images from design hack to show them on my prototype. So imagine in your business, working with how powerful your prototype will be if you actually show content that your user actually use right now. And if you have, I mean, you're all product designer, you know how important it is to have reliable copy when you show prototypes to your clients. They want to see data that makes sense for them. That's your easy way out. What's fun? That's my prototype. That's a YouTube video, and I'm going to run that prototype. And yes, I'm still in my prototyping tool, so I'm going to go back actually here to show you up. Yes, so I'm going to go back here. That's my prototype, and I'm going to show you the interaction. So standard, all the standard animation that you want to do, scroll bar. So it's going to pull, so the name is going to change every time because I designed it that way, but that could be a data source with the information from my client. I'm going to click on courses, and basically I have same thing, because I work on constants, though, that's React. Because I work on design components, those three components are the same. What happened is, kind of like symbols, if I click on here, I created a key element, and I said, where is it? Yes, I need to go inside. I told that key element that this, and this, you can modify it on instances. So I still have my master, and I can create unlimited instances of that element and choose what is going to change. So if you look at those screen, it's the same component that is duplicated. And if I go back here, oops, I'm going to just close that for a moment. Up. Yes, behind, it's still the same component. I just extended it, change details, and that's it. So I'm going to play my prototype. And the power of that is that you're going to, who use InVision for handouts? It's crappy, right? The handouts look like PowerPoint glorified version and much more expensive version of PowerPoint. It's worked very well when it comes to share with your other users. It's fantastic for that. InVision is fantastic to share. But when it comes to demo and application, yeah, you can do more. So what people do is that they will go in After Effects and they will fake stuff. So the difference here is my prototype, I can export it to an iPhone, I can give you that iPhone, and you will never know that is not a real application. I can make it so precise that your user, your clients, who wants to have an idea of the application that is going to buy or pay for, you're going to give him that phone after a few weeks, and he's going to play with the application, and he's going to tell you, okay, it's finished now, when can you ship? That happens to me, by the way. Because it's going to be so good. It's going to feel so real. I'm going back, showing, clicking here. Yeah, and because it's code, I have inside my prototype, I have embedded a YouTube video. And because we work on the component level, what is amazing, and it's based on code, I have my virtual studio somewhere. Visual Studio Code. I have way too much things. Okay, because it's based on components, and it basically looks like, it's not exactly that case, but it's basically React code. One of the aspects that you will have is, did I use sound? No, it's fine. Is that you can reuse them, and scale them. So in Framer, how do they use that? And what is going to happen in each and every design tool? You have stores of components. So what happened is that other companies created their own, so you have Twitter, YouTube, I mean, all the main players created stores of components, and if I want to create the Twitter UI, I just take it and I reuse it. And I can, instead of recreating the wheel, you just use components that were already created and change them. And you have all kinds of components existing. And there are thousands of components. It's been only 2 months this thing is out officially. Components-driven design is going to be a huge change in the industry. And to finish, I have, how much time do I have? So I have, play. Where is that? So, not yet. This is an excellent slide of states of design and why you want to focus. We really focus during that demo on that part. I find context, okay? But that part is super important too. I know my talk is about hi-fi design, but don't get into hi-fi design before you have a lo-fi prototype that you can test. There is just no point, because there is a work to get to that point. You don't want to, so what is important for you is to create first a great prototype, and from that great prototype, you're going to create a great demo. That's your sale point. That's what you're going to use. And yeah, everything else is useless. Yeah, so there is, last thing about, design systems. A way to simplify design systems in general is to use tools to replicate them. And there are plenty of tools. You don't want to have everything designed by default. Use those components, reuse those components. You want to find colors, use color box. This is what I use right now. That's going to generate your gradient on scale, and you won't have to think about it because you don't want to spend time on those things. There is just no point. And thank you for Will. So, yeah.
Jono! Well done, mate. Maybe one question. We have run over time a little bit, if there's a question. Or you can grab Jonathan afterwards.
Yeah.
There's one question.
Okay, I'll speak slowly. Okay, so you have really good code components that your front-end developers can use. Okay, and you have really good design system that is very easy to transfer into PowerPoint that, again, product manager can use easily. What's the point of having designers?
Okay.
If you have a good product manager that knows what's...
Okay, you basically you make designers do what they should be paid for, not beautifying stuff. Beautifying stuff is useless. I mean, that's my point of view. I'm not a beautifier. There are a lot of ways to scale design. So why are we going to spend 3 days on, you want to build stuff, ship stuff, test stuff, iterate as fast as possible, fail as fast as possible, or succeed as fast as possible. But you don't want to spend time prototyping hi-fi stuff that you won't sell at the end of the day. Then if you have money and time and you want to give job to your designers because they have nothing to do, like Airbnb, you can continue and iterate on that.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jonathan. Well done, dude.